the pitiful rational homunculus mistakenly denominated human being is similar to any fatal ship boarded with many leftist, tenebrous passengers. I am referring to the eyes. Unquestionably, each one of these particular eyes has its own mind, ideas, concepts, opinions, emotions, etc. Obviously, we are full of infinite psychological contradictions. If we could fully see ourselves internally in front of a mirror as we are, we would be horrified with ourselves. The type of mind that at any given moment is being expressed in us through the diverse functionalisms of the brain depends exclusively on the quality of the I in action. See Chapter 3, the section entitled The Ego. The inner existence of many minds within each one of us is evident, clear, and manifest. Certainly, we are not possessors of an individual particular mind. We have many minds. We need to create the mental body with maximum undeferable urgency, but this is only possible by transmuting the sexual hydrogen Si-12. We can and even must transmit the surplus of the sexual hydrogen Si-12 that was not utilized in the building of the astral body into a second octave of a superior order by means of the Sahaja Mathuna, sexual magic. The crystallization of that hydrogen into the resplendent, marvelous form of the mental body is an axiom of hermetic wisdom. Clearly, the crystallization of this cited sexual hydrogen is solemnly processed in accordance with the notes Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si in a transcendent second octave. However, nourishment is different. It is evident that any organism that comes into existence needs its specific food, its nourishment. The mental body is not an exception to this general rule. The surplus of hydrogen-24 that was not utilized for the nourishment of the astral body is converted into hydrogen-12. Do not confuse hydrogen-12 with the sexual hydrogen Si-12. As an evident consequence or corollary, it is licit to clearly asseverate that hydrogen-12 is the cardinal and definitive nutriment for the mental body. It is not possible to achieve the complete individualization of the understanding without the creation of the mental body. We can possess an inferior organized man as a concrete, particular individual mind only by creating such a vehicle. The foundation of this creation is found in the ninth sphere, sex. To work in the flaming forge of Vulcan is indispensable. It is evident that one knows that one possesses a mental body when one can travel with it consciously and positively through the suprasensible worlds. My particular case was certainly something very special. I was born with the mental body. I had already created it in a very ancient past, long before the dawning of the aurora of the Mahamanvantara of Padma or the Lotus of Gold. Really, I then only needed, with maximum undeferable urgency, to recapitulate the fourth initiation of the fire, and to restore the flaming powers in the already mentioned vehicle. The resplendent dragon of wisdom, I am referring to the Logos of the solar system of Oz, entrusted to a specialist the noble mission of assisting and helping me to raise the fourth serpent along the medulla canal of the mental body, from vertebra to vertebra, from chakra to chakra, is certainly something very slow and frightfully difficult. Before the golden flame can burn with serene light, the lamp should be kept well and in a place free of any wind. Bhagavad Gita 6.19, worldly thoughts must fall dead before the doors of the temple. The voice of the silence. The mind that is a slave of the senses makes the soul invalid, as the boat that the wind mislays upon the waters. Bhagavad Gita 2.67. Astonished, I perceived the multiple splendors of the marvelous pentalpha upon the very sacred candlesticks of the temple. I joyfully passed the threshold of the sanctuary. My thoughts were ardently flaming. I clearly comprehended that during the work in the ninth sphere, I should very carefully separate the smoke from the flames. The smoke is horror, darkness, bestiality. The flame is light, love, and transcendental chastity. Any exterior impact originates undulatory reactions in the mind. These undulations have in themselves their fundamental nucleus in the ego. the I, the myself. To exercise absolute control over the cited mental reactions is certainly indispensable. We need to become indifferent before praise and slander, before triumph and defeat. To smile before the insulter, to kiss the whip of the executioner is indispensable. Remember that hurtful words have no value except the value given by the offended one. When we do not give any value to the words of the insulters, these remain like a check, without funds. In the mental world, the guardian of the threshold becomes personified by the ego, the I. To confront the terrible ordeal with heroism, to really defeat the terrible brother, as it is denominated in occult masonry, is indispensable in the fourth initiation of fire. Without any fear, I promptly unsheathed my flaming sword. What happened after this was extraordinary. The larvae of the threshold fled terrified. It is clear that such an ordeal always occurs after the igneous wings have been opened. It is a tremendous truth that when the ascending sacred fire reaches the height of the heart, the radiant angelic wings are always opened. Unquestionably, these ardent wings permit us to enter instantaneously into any department of the kingdom. One of the marvelous cosmic events that I had to experience within myself during the multiple processes of the fourth initiation of fire was certainly the victorious entrance of Jesus into the beloved city of the prophets. Whosoever truly wants to enter into the Jerusalem above, the superior worlds, must liberate himself from the body, affections, and the mind. It is urgent, indispensable, and undeferrable to ride on the symbolic ass, the mind, to dominate it, to control it. Only thus is it possible to liberate ourselves from it in order to enter into the worlds of the spirit, the heavenly Jerusalem. I felt that my worn physical body was disintegrating and dying. In those moments, the divine rabbi of Galilee exclaimed with a great voice, "That body no longer serves you." Joyfully, I escaped from this decrepit form of vesture, dressed with the soma heliacon, the body of gold of the solar man. When the sacred fire solemnly shone in the flaming star and in the starry cross, my individual, particular divine mother Kundalini was congratulated in the temple. The Kundalini flourished on my fertile lips, made word, when the fire reached the creative larynx. I still remember that instant in which I celebrated the festivity. The adepts of the occult fraternity rewarded me with a marvelous symbol, which I still keep. That moment in which the fire of the Kundalini reached the height of the cerebellum was extraordinary. Then, my mental body passed through the symbolic crucifixion of the Lord. The ascension of the erotic flame into the 32nd vertebra became notable. In those moments of great solemnity, I comprehended the mysteries related to the degree of the lion of the law. When an inferior law is transcended by a superior law, the superior law washes away the inferior law. The lion of the law is fought with the scale. Perform good deeds so that you can pay your debts. When the divine fire opened the lotus of 1,000 petals, the chakra Sahasrara, a certain metallic bell solemnly shook all of the precincts of the universe. In those supreme instants of beatitude, I listened to ineffable choirs resounding in the sacred space. Later on, I had to patiently carry the erotic flame onto the magnetic field of the root of the nose. By intelligently taking advantage of a secret nervous thread, I then proceeded by conducing the fire to the region of the thalamus, a region where the principal chakra that controls the heart is located. Finally, I intelligently took advantage of the Anahata Nadi in order to carry the sexual flame unto the heart temple. Final ceremony of that initiation was very extraordinary, sublime, and terribly divine. The temple was dressed with glory on that mystical night. To describe such beauty is impossible. Sanat Kumara, the great Hierophant, was austerely waiting for me on his royal throne. I entered with profound veneration inside this sacred precinct. Before this great immolated one, as HPB used to call him, my divine mother Kundalini, with infinite love, placed upon my head the yellow mantle of the Buddhas and the extraordinary diadem in which the eye of Shiva shines. "This is my beloved son," exclaimed my mother, and then added, "He is a Buddha." The elder of days, Sanat Kumara, the illustrious founder of the great College of Initiates of the White Lodge on the planet Earth, while approaching me, placed in my hands the symbol of the Imperator, the sphere with the cross on top. In those instants, angelic harmonies were heard, royal symphonies based on the rhythms of Mahavan and the Chotavan, which sustained the universe firmly in its march.